In 1 Samuel 30, David and his army returned to their camp to find that the Amalekites had raided and carried away all their wives and children. The men were understandably distraught, and David inquired of the Lord whether he should go after the enemy. When God said yes, David wasted no time. Let's pick up the story there.
Welcome to A Word Fitly Spoken, with Christian author and Bible teacher, Dana Rongione.
So David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives, and there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil, nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all. And David took all the flocks and the herds which they drave before those other cattle, and said, "This is David's spoil." And David came to the 200 men which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Besor. And they went forth to meet David, and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and the men of Belial of those that went with David, and said, "Because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart." Then said David, "Ye shall not do so, my brethren. With that which the Lord hath given us, who hath preserved us and delivered the company that came against us into our hand. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike." 1 Samuel 30, 9 and 10, and 18 through 24. 600 men started on the recovery mission, but 200 grew so tired and weak they couldn't continue. Some felt they should be disqualified from receiving any spoils gained from the attack on the Amalekites, but David disagreed. The way David saw it, these 200 men had an equal part in the battle. They simply served in a different way. The same is true of us. Let's face it, we all grow tired and weary, and sometimes we can't carry on like those around us. I know what it's like to watch some of these supermen and superwomen in the church who seem to have it all together while keeping a smile on their face and practically sizzling with energy. That's not me anymore. Most days, if I'm not dozing off by 7 in the evening, I count it a win. Maybe you can relate. Perhaps you too feel like there's no place for you in the battle anymore. Perhaps you feel too old, too young, too tired, or just not in the groove of others around you. That's okay. Somebody needs to stay by the stuff. Imagine how much more difficult it would have been for those 400 soldiers if they had to carry all their stuff with them. Their burdens would have slowed them down. How would they have carried all the spoils if their hands were already full of their own gear? Being able to leave the stuff behind and know it was being safely guarded was a huge blessing, even if some of the men didn't realize it. Some are fit for serving in the field, and if so, that's exactly where they need to be. Some are better suited for staying by the stuff, and that's where they need to be. No one, however, is meant to sit on the sidelines. That's just laziness, and God does not appreciate the waste of time and talent. David's men didn't go home and lounge around the campfire. They stayed in the middle of nowhere so they could stay by the stuff. Friend, you may not be able to continue the march like others can. Like the 200, you may find yourself tired, weary, and unable to carry on. If so, I can relate and I feel your pain. But know this, God isn't finished with you yet. He still has something for you to do. Don't be content to sit on the sidelines. Instead, stay by the stuff. Do what you can do for the glory of the Lord, and in doing so, you'll be aiding those who can continue the march. Not everyone will notice your contribution, and that's okay. It doesn't matter what they think. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for God. And like David, God sees the value of those who are willing to stay by the stuff.
You've been listening to A Word Fitly Spoken with Christian author and speaker, Dana Rongione. Dana is the author of over 20 books, inspiring and encouraging the old and young alike to find joy in serving Jesus. To find out more about Dana's ministry and to sign up for her devotional blog, visit danarongione.com.